Hey there, welcome back to the DPF Guy's shop. I've got an interesting one that I'm working on right over here. That is a one box from a Freightliner Cascadia with a Detroit engine. It's only a 2019, but I think it's got 700,000 miles on it. From what I understand, this truck drives with a team, so it's rolling pretty much 24 hours a day, back and forth between Atlanta, California, and Atlanta. But this one has a problem. Check it out. Pretty typical one box. Anybody who doesn't know much about this, we got an inlet, the exhaust comes in here, goes through the two DOC filters, not filters, catalysts. I kind of call everything a filter, but it's a catalyst. The DOC on the one box or any after treatment system, the DOC has one job, and that is during a regen, either passive or active, to take the exhaust coming off the engine and the exhaust mixed with unburned hydrocarbon or diesel fuel, which comes in either in the injection process right up in the cylinder during the, I think, the exhaust stroke. They squirt some extra fuel in there to get it downstream, or like on this truck, the Freightliner Cascadia with the Detroit engine, it has a seventh injector that actually sprays a little extra diesel fuel in, and that whips on down the chain here, down the pipe, comes in, and will go through the DOC, and there are two temperature sensors. There's the one that shows the temperature on the way into the DOC and the way out of the DOC during the regen process, whether it be passive or active, parked regen or regen that happens while you're driving. So on a Detroit engine, the exhaust temperature coming into this is about 800 degrees Fahrenheit, 800 degrees Fahrenheit. On a Cummins, it might be around 600, a little bit cooler. Somebody much smarter than me can explain exactly why that is, but it's going to come out of the engine at 800 degrees, get mixed with some unburned diesel fuel up on the engine somewhere, and in this amount of time between here and here, that mixture is going to go from 800 to over 1,000 degrees on the way up. And that temperature increase is what causes the regeneration or regen. And all the regen does is take the black soot, which is just ground up like carbon, super fine, finer than a human hair, and gets it real toasty hot, and will burn it into ash. And if you think about it, just think about a Weber grill, and you pile up a whole bunch of briquettes on there to cook your steaks, or I'm from Wisconsin, my Johnsonville brats. But once it's done, once those briquettes are done burning, they don't just vanish, but they get much smaller and lighter and turn into ash. And that's exactly what a regen does. Now you know. But anyway, I'm not here to give you a lesson in DPF usage. I want to show you something interesting about this one box. So this came in, the truck had 700,000 miles on it, definitely would need to get cleaned, because we recommend getting your DPF filters cleaned about every 200 to 250,000 miles. The manufacturer will often say 400,000, but that's under ideal conditions. If you get it done every 200 to 300,000 miles, you will never have an issue with the truck derating on you, as long as there's not something else going on in the engine. This particular one box came in off a truck that dumped a bunch of coolant into it, probably because of an EGR cooler failure or a head gasket, something like that. But check this out. That is coolant. And it's all the way up to here. Whew, yeah, it's coolant. Kind of tangy. Just kidding, don't try that at home. So anyway, a bunch of coolant came on down the line here, came through the DOCs, and then look over here. Here are the DPFs out of that one box. We have even more coolant here. So these filters are not just dirty with soot, they're also soaked with coolant. And believe it or not, we can actually fix this. Now, keep in mind that what makes a DOC do what it does, work its magic, be able to increase that temperature hot enough to burn that soot into ash, requires that it has precious metals in it, and really precious metals. Platinum, palladium, rhodium, and unobtainium. No, actually that's something else. But those three metals are, I mean, platinum is cheap compared to palladium and rhodium, But those precious metals are held in place in that DOC, and when the exhaust flows over that, it reacts with the unburned diesel fuel, and that's what jumps the temperature up to cause this regen. One of the things that can wash those precious metals out of the DOC is the coolant and propylene glycol, whatever, can actually detach those precious metals from the DOC. They're held in place by aluminum oxide, and it can dissolve the aluminum oxide, and then those precious metals leave the DOC and work their way down the chain. However, in this case, let's look at this. If you look at this, there's definitely coolant in there, but it's only affecting the bottom part of the DOCs. So, fingers crossed that we hope that very little or none or just a tiny amount of those precious metals actually wash up the DOC, and there's still plenty of DOC material in there, diesel oxidation catalyst material, with the precious metals intact to properly regen this. So what we're going to do is we're going to completely clean this thing, and so we're going to wash all that coolant back out of it, and we're going to throw this thing in our regen oven, and we're going to slowly bring it up to a regen temperature, which is 1012 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't do the math in my head to convert that to Celsius, but smarter people can do that. And we're gonna let it sit there for 6 hours at that temperature to dry this out first, obviously, but also burn any coolant out of the system. And then tomorrow we will complete the job, get everything put back together, it'll go back on the truck. And if everything works the way we think, they should be back on the road, ready to rock and roll. Now, this isn't necessarily a cheap process, because it's going to cost $1,500 or so to get it done, not counting the labor to take it off the truck and everything. But considering that a new one box can cost $10,000 or more, and because of a national back order, you can wait for weeks or even months to get your new one box. Getting it done in 24 hours for less than $2,000, not a bad deal in my book. Anyway, let me get started. Thanks.